Good evening. Welcome to the regular Piqua City Commission meeting, March 1st, 2022. Call the meeting to order. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Will the clerk call the roll?
Commissioner Hines.
Here.
Commissioner Grissom.
Here.
Mayor Fote.
Here.
Commissioner Pearson.
Here.
Commissioner Lee.
Here.
Question.
Thank you.
Rolling into the meeting on the consent agenda, we have 2 items. Will the clerk please present the 2 items?
Absolutely. The first item we have is approval of minutes. So we have approval of the minutes from the January 25th, 2022 regular Piqua City Commission executive session meeting, the February 1, 2022 regular Piqua City Commission meeting, and February 15, 2022 Piqua Commission meeting. Then we have resolution number R-10-22, a resolution of appreciation for the public service of Michael W. Allen as a city employee.
Is Mr. Allen here tonight?
No.
No. All right. We have a resolution, like the clerk said, for the appreciation of his work. I'll read it from the podium up here since he's not here with us tonight. Whereas Michael W. Allen has retired as a substation generation tech with the city of Piqua, and whereas his retirement follows 30 years of faithful and dedicated service to the city and its citizens, now there be it resolved by the Commission of the City of Piqua, Miami County, Ohio, all members elected thereto concurring that Section 1 in recognition and the appreciation of public service of Michael W. Allen with the City of Piqua, the Commission tenders its unanimous and respectful tribute by this resolution, which shall be a matter of public and permanent record. Section 2, this resolution shall take effect and be enforced from after the earliest period allowed by law. Signed, Mayor Thomas Fote. Thank you for your service, Mr. Allen. 30 years is a long time to work for the municipality. I couldn't imagine what you've seen happen in the city, but thank you for your service. Any other commissioners have any comments for him?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you
Yeah,
very
thank
much.
you. 30 years is a long time.
It is.
Now I will take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we'll move on to new business. We'll start off with ordinance number O-1-22.
An emergency ordinance enacting and adopting a supplement to the Code of Ordinances for the city of Piqua. And this is just the yearly update when we send the supplements and then the American Legal, and they put it in our
To the
our
Code of
documents.
Ordinance manual, there's an annually they update the Code of Ordinance across the state of Ohio, and any changes, minor or otherwise, that they have, the American Legal Publishing Company sends out a book that basically changes all of those sections to make them consistent across the state, and this is all all this does is it adopts those supplements.
Is there an electronic version of this available?
The electronic version that we have is basically it gets adopted on the
Online?
Online, yes.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I usually have it on my phone on Wednesdays.
Yeah, I'll bet.
I'll take a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Do we need to waive
We
the
got-
3 reading?
We
Sure, 3
do. I
reading.
make a motion we waive the 3 reading rule.
I'll second.
Motion seconded,
Moved and
excuse me, moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Will the clerk take the roll, please?
Commissioner Hines.
Aye.
Commissioner Grissom.
Aye.
Mayor Fote.
Aye.
Commissioner Pearson.
Aye.
Commissioner Lee.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to next, resolution number R-11-22.
A resolution approving the renewal application for placement of farmland in an agricultural district filed by Brenda K. Allenbaugh, executor of the estate of Stephen H. Allenbaugh, for parcels N44-100640 and N44-100740 in the city of Piqua.
Bless you.
And Chris Smeezing, our Community and Economic Development Director, will be presenting information with regard to this resolution.
Good evening, and thank you. Actually, the next two items are very similar. The first location, as referenced, is the Allenbaugh property, which is on the west side of Piqua and consists entirely of cropland that's in an agricultural use exclusively for that purpose. The CAUV program allows for farmland devoted exclusively to commercial agricultural use to be valued accordingly or according to its current use as opposed to the highest and best use the land could otherwise realize. By permitting the values to be set in this fashion, it places it below the market rate, which ordinarily results in a pretty significant tax benefit for working farmers. So it's a pretty typical program. We see it quite often on properties that are inside the corporation limit that have remained in crop production type use activity. The subject property here is zoned open space, which is the city's designation or holding for agricultural type uses. So nothing out of the ordinary here. As I understand the CAUV program, it otherwise meets all the criteria, and it will be subject to review by the county auditor to make that final determination.
How often does like these specific properties come before the commission?
I believe it runs with the appraisal years, so it'd be every 3 years.
Okay. Any questions from the commissioners? Any questions from the citizens? With no questions, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next, we have resolution number R-12-22.
A resolution approving the renewal application for placement of farmland in an agricultural district filed by Paul R. Cromus for parcels N44-076845 and N44-099300 in the city of Piqua.
Thank you. This relates to a tract of land on the east side of the community along Cromus Drive. There's 45 acres on either side of the roadway. The two tracts are currently exclusively for crop production, the agricultural use that qualifies it for the CAUV program. As you know, the tract to the east has been acquired by an interest that plans to develop the Moeller Brew Barn production facility at the north end. The piece to the south will probably remain in crop production for a period of time, as well the piece to the north until that development starts. And then the piece on the west is being actively marketed, but it's still entirely within the agricultural use activity. So both of these, again, qualify for the CAUV program. And upon there being improvements made to the property, the auditor will reassess the valuation and they will become not eligible given those changes in the uses or improvements that would happen there. So once the agricultural use goes away, they would revisit this at the county level.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the commissioners? Any questions from the citizens? With no questions, I will entertain a motion.
I move to adopt resolution number R-12-22.
Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Grissom's late to the party. Next, we will move on to resolution number R-13-22.
A resolution authorizing a shared services agreement. Chris Smeezing will be presenting information.
Thank you. This item relates to the dumpster services that are utilized at the Fort Piqua Plaza. Currently, we have two dumpsters, one for general waste, the other for recycling, which fulfills the needs of our four tenants that we have at the Fort Piqua Plaza. With the opening of the Piqua Arts and Innovation Center across the parking lot. We were approached by the owner of that property, VSF Investments, about the possibility of doing a shared dumpster service type arrangement. The purpose being so that we can minimize the number of dumpsters occupying the public parking lot facility and disrupting the utilization of that area for parking, and also from an aesthetic standpoint, just reducing the number of dumpsters and trying to keep it as organized and neat and tidy as possible. Ultimately, we'd like to build a dumpster enclosure to really make that happen, but until then, the goal here would be to minimize the number of dumpsters being utilized. So we've started off just estimating what the anticipated use would be by the Piqua Arts and Innovation Center. We have a track record in terms of the use history of the tenants at the Plaza, and we know what that amount looks like each month. So as we start with this agreement, if we see that we're trending too far off of that figure, we would reevaluate the percentages in terms of how that cost sharing is structured to occur. But again, the main intention here is to try to minimize the amount of dumpsters being placed in the public facility and really keep things as neat and tidy as we can, while still meeting the needs of the two facilities.
So would this be an optimal area to put like a trash compactor unit in? Vice having just a regular box container down there?
Perhaps. I'm sure there's a cost difference, and I don't know what that looks like, but it's something we could evaluate as we move forward.
Chris, is this that all of the dumpsters that are down there now, we're not adding a dumpster, is that correct?
Correct. Right now we have, I believe they're 6-yard dumpsters for both recycling and general waste. We would upsize them both to 8 yards. We think that'll be sufficient.
You would upsize them to be
We would
large?
increase the size of the two existing dumpsters.
Okay. The reason why I ask is I know that I've heard a few comments about, I mean, a lot of the businesses there have a lot of stuff, a lot of trash that they put out, and I know there's been a couple times that before adding anybody else to the mix, there have been more, it seems that there's been more trash than can go in the dumpster. So I just want to make sure that obviously we keep an eye on that, and obviously we don't want to put more dumpsters back there because it is an eyesore and it's a public parking area. So just to be aware of.
We actually have had conversations with the tenants about their managing the amount of refuse they're putting out in the facility and being mindful of the capacities of those two dumpsters. If it gets to be where it's an issue that they need more space, we'll simply upsize the dumpsters. So we're trying to manage the cost and not pay for more than we need, but also make sure that we provide an adequate facility for their needs. There was at least one instance that I'm aware of, and we were never able to actually identify where the additional refuse came from. We're not entirely certain that it was from our tenants.
Well, and are they locked?
They're not locked. And that's part of the reason for potentially wanting to explore a dumpster enclosure at some point in the future so that we can manage access to those dumpsters.
I would suggest that. Just having the church I used to serve, we had a dumpster, and it's amazing how much stuff ended up in it, which is not that far from where we're talking about. So, yeah. Okay.
We can look into it. With the number of users, sometimes the lock becomes a little tricky if you're just locking the individual dumpsters, but we'll certainly look at that.
Okay.
Thank you. If there's no other questions from the commissioners, I'll ask for questions from the citizens. With no questions, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution R-13-22.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we will move on to resolution number R-14-22.
A resolution authorizing a purchase order to Barrett Paving Materials, Inc. as the primary supplier and Valley Asphalt Corp. as the secondary supplier of 402 and 404 asphalt for the 2022 street and alley maintenance program. Brian Brookhart, our Public Works Director, will be presenting the next two staff reports.
Good evening. In January of this year, our purchasing analysis went out for asphalt bids for the 2022 patching season. The bid tabulation is shown in Exhibit A. We are requesting to use Barrett Paving, who was the lowest bidder, as our primary supplier, and then looking at Valley Asphalt as our secondary supplier if Barrett cannot supply the mix that we require. on the project date. Asphalt is purchased each year for street patching projects. $130,000 is budgeted for the 2022 patching season. We will complete as many street patches as possible and also complete some patchwork in the alleys as needed.
How much cold patch did we use this year? Did we budget over cold patch, and was there any, like, discarded out that we didn't use?
No, we budget for cold patch every year, approximately $20,000. I order it in at about 23 tons at a time. We've gone through approximately over between last year and this year already. We've gone through 3 full loads, which is about a little over 60 tons of cold patch. So we do get that in every year. We keep it in stock. We keep it in our cold storage building, just that way if we do ever need it for some reason, even during the season when we can get asphalt, if for some reason we couldn't get it and we had to do an emergency patch somewhere, we always have some on hand.
Brian, is this program for the emergency things that we need as things come up? I mean, you don't have anything, you don't have a list of places you want to do this yet, do you, or?
We have a small list that we already put together of some troubled spots out on the roadways that we want to cut out and repair. As an example, the intersection at College and Clark Avenue, as you're coming up to Clark Avenue on College, it is really rough as you're coming up to that intersection, and it's failing for some reason, and we're going to look at cutting that area out, and we'll cut it back as far as we need to and put a patch in there. There are several other whether it's an intersection or streets that have similar issues to that we're going to go around town and do similar work where we'll cut an area out. It may be a 10 by 10 patch. It could be a 20 by 20, 30 by 30, as large as we need to make it. And we'll do some of that work. We do still have our paver. We held on to that just in case there would be an area that we need to put a bigger patch in than we really want to do by hand, where we would want to use that. So we'd still be able to do that work in-house if we needed to.
So it's for things that are already identified, but also what could pop up throughout the year.
Yes, and we always evaluate the roads after the winter, after the freezing and thawing cycle is finished. We look at, there are always additional areas that show up that we decide, we need to put these in as well and address these issues.
Is there a place that for those that you've already identified that citizens can go online and see where they are?
We can post that online.
I think
Yes,
that'd be helpful for people to see. Yeah,
that wouldn't be a problem.
So what changed our mind on the paver beans that you brought that up? Because last conversation we had about that, we were talking about moving that on from our inventory.
After this season, we probably will look at moving that out of our inventory. Just the fact that we have it and it's paid for. Since we're not really looking at doing a lot of major paving work this year within the city, if there's something that we did need to do and address, we still have the capability to do that yet this year. And then as we move forward, that'll likely be a piece of equipment that we look at moving out, possibly in the 2023 season.
Okay. Are there any other questions from the commissioners? Any questions from the citizens? With no questions, I will entertain a motion.
I move to adopt Resolution R-14-22.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries, and Casey's late to the game.
I know. I took his place.
We're getting ready to start spring training. So moving on, we will move on to resolution number R-15-22.
A resolution authorizing a purchase order to Green Tech Corporation, AKA Green Tech Lawn and Irrigation, for the 2022 program of mowing and trimming of large city parks and right-of-ways. Brian?
Yes, in October of 2021, the purchasing analysis went out for bids so that we could look at subbing out the mowing and trimming of our large city parks and our large right-of-way spaces. The bid tabulation is shown in Exhibit A. We are requesting to use the lowest bidder, Green Tech Corporation, AKA Green Tech Lawn, and Irrigation for mowing and trimming these areas. The mowing contract can be extended up to 4 more years based on the satisfactory annual evaluation of the Public Works Director and the Environmental Recreation Services Director. There would be a 2% increase each year, 2023, 24, 25, and 26, if we decide to continue this service. This would be saving park staff approximately 80 labor hours weekly and saving street staff approximately 64 labor hours weekly during the mowing season. Our departments will utilize this time to spend on park maintenance work and street maintenance work. The total cost for the 2022 season will be $60,480. The street department would be paying $16,960 for the large right-of-way mowing areas, which would be out on US 36 and County Road 25A. And the Parks Department would be paying $43,520 for the mowing of Pittsburgher Park, Moat Park, and Fountain Park.
So how's this in comparison to our labor hours that we would have? Because I just want to have it explained to the citizens that labor hours vice time and monies where we can invest them into better projects that it's going to move our city along, even though it might be a little less expensive for labor hours for our citizens when it comes down to this, but it'll put more labor hours into our projects that we need to focus on in our parks. So do you have a breakdown of what that labor cost is? Or the labor savings or the above labor cost of what it would be for this?
I just have the cost broke out the way that I did right there, what the time that we spent during the mowing season on that work. This is allowing our staff, in the parks, for example, that was 4 staff members spending that much time just on mowing those larger parks. And, hence is, part of the reason why we don't have that extra time to spend on maintenance work that we direly really need to be spending. On the street side, it was making it extremely difficult to split up and do different projects or even go out and try to pave with our paver, because when we were out paving, we needed just about every employee in the street department to do that, and sometimes some assistance out of the parks department. We only have 11 staff in the street department, so trying to continue to pave on a regular basis, we don't have enough staff to continue doing that, which is why we're trending toward more maintenance work than trying to do that. So, by doing this will free our staff up to spend a lot more time on maintenance in those areas. If we see in the future, maybe we get caught up, maybe it ends up being more feasible for us to continue doing that, we can. It's not just the labor hours, it's the equipment that we have to have on top of that. The zero-turn mowers that we have 8 of them to maintain those areas. They're averaging around between $10,000 and $13,000 per piece of equipment. We used to turn those over on a 3-year basis. You have a truck and a trailer and other equipment associated with that. When you look at all that, that's about $90,000 worth of equipment. It's 4 crews out running that equipment, that we have doing that on a yearly basis. And then we're trying to turn those vehicles and trailers over every 5 years. So, we have less maintenance, some less vehicles and equipment that we have to have around. to do this work, and we can shuffle some of those funds over for the maintenance work that we would like to get done in both of those departments.
Yeah.
I know that we've talked about this for a long time about, and I know talking to the guys in your department, I mean, as soon as they finish the mowing, they got to start it all over again. And especially if we have a really wet summer, it's crazy. And this year we were mowing all the way into November,
Yeah.
much later than we typically do because the weather, encouraged the grass to grow, if you will. So I like the fact that it's going to give the folks in your department the ability to do some of that maintenance work that we've needed to do. I mean, I think about playgrounds, I think about the tennis courts, I think about all of those things that it's kind of like Band-Aiding as much as you can because you're trying to mow too and trying to take care of things. So I think it's a good way to do it. And I think about, I know Thomas's question makes a lot of sense. How much are we looking at? But when you think about how many employees you have out mowing and how long they're mowing, I feel like it's going to even out pretty close to what we're paying to have it done. So, and then having our employees being able to do some of that maintenance work. And they're picking up, I mean, there's so many things they're doing that people don't even realize. They're picking up trash and and doing this, just the general maintenance. And we have our parks, we have a lot of parks in our community.
Yes, we do.
A lot of grass.
Yeah, when you look at the staffing levels of other communities that have the similar amount of parks, they almost have double the staff that we do taking care of and maintaining those areas. And, what the parks staff has been able to do with just 4 employees, since, after 2001, I mean, there was over 12 miles of bike trail that was added on to the city, and that as the years roll on, more maintenance work needs to be done out in those areas. And when there wasn't a laborer added on to account for that extra labor time, you're already stretching the 4 employees that you have, which account for about 160 hours a week of labor time. You're stretching that out even farther than what it was before. So this will help allow them get caught up on a lot of maintenance items.
Yeah, Mayor, I just wanted to add to that. There are a lot of areas, and I was going to wait until mowing season to address this with the commission, but throughout the city, we have a lot of mowing areas that are in the right-of-way that the city's traditionally mowed for years, going back decades, actually. And so we're expending resource, whether it's labor hours or, contracted services to do that. So throughout March, we're going to be developing letters that are going to go out to those areas that are property owner maintenance required and not the city traditionally has been mowing. And we're going to send letters out to the property owners to let them know that I hope they enjoyed the 20 years of free mowing services, but we can't do it any longer. We're really strapped to get things done. And again, it takes away from us doing general maintenance. So that'll be coming back up again in April. But it's March 1st, so we might as well address it.
Thank you.
One question I had is, so is this expenditure, is that like a set price? Because it's showing from mid-April to mid-November, or is it like, so if there's snow through May and snow in October, do we still pay for those services?
No, we'll only pay for the services when we need the services.
Okay.
I've already talked to the contractor about this, and Amy and I will dictate when they start, when they stop. If it gets dry out and we don't need the service for, say 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, then we just won't have them mow during that dry period. Now, last year, we really didn't get any dry periods.
Okay.
I mean, normally I'll get a good 6 or 8 week stint where we can really get a lot of maintenance work done because we don't have to go out and mow everything on a weekly basis. And over the past couple years, we haven't had that luxury at all.
So that's on the high side, there's potential
That's on a
savings
higher-
there. That's why I was asking, because I didn't see any contingency funds with it.
Yes.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Any questions from the citizens? With no questions, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for the resolution.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on, resolution number R-16-22.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into preliminary legislation with the Ohio Department of Transportation, ODOT, for the East Ash Street US 36 resurfacing project. Oh, Amy Havner will be presenting the staff report.
Thank you. The engineering department has been working with ODOT these past couple years to get this segment of roadway from just west of Scott Drive to just east of Keenly, programmed into their urban paving program, which is essentially ODOT will pay 80% of the project and the city's responsible for the 20%. So we're finally ready for that. This is the preliminary legislation for that portion. Approving this tonight will get them started on the design. We also are including in this certain areas on the eastbound lanes of 36 near the interstate. I'm sure all of you have seen, I know we came to you a couple years ago, or maybe last year, the year before, for work to have Barrett come out and do some repair work. So what this will also do is completely take the asphalt down to the concrete, which is below. So we have that built in as well. That unfortunately is 100% city funds, which will be around $150,000. So the 80/20 just covers the top layer of asphalt. We will have the additional approximately $150,000 for full depth, but we really don't have a choice. I mean, that's a major road of ours, and we have to make sure that we're fixing it, hopefully for good. So our cost right now is estimated to be about $315,000. This was budgeted for in the 2022 budget. And right now, the construction or the resurfacing is scheduled for mid to late summer of 2022, so this year.
So is that out there where the riffles are at? What you're
Yes.
talking about? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is horrible.
Yeah, so the goal is we're gonna take all the asphalt out down to the concrete base below.
Have there been any like GPR studies or anything on that concrete below to see if there's any major infrastructure issues on that?
So ODOT did core samples 2 years ago in about six or eight different places. And what they were finding is the concrete was solid in the locations we did the core samples.
Good.
So that's what we're going to base it off of at this point.
Is there contingencies built in just in case?
There will be when I come back to you. This is just the preliminary legislation, so I'm hoping in another month or two we'll be back with final. And at that point, we'll probably have a little bit of contingency built in just in case, because we don't know what's down there. I mean, we did a couple core samples, but that's still, it's an unknown.
Yeah. Great, thank you. Any questions from the commissioners? Any questions from the citizens? With no questions, I will entertain a motion.
I move to adopt Resolution R-16-22.
Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I get to my next one here. Next is resolution number R-17-22.
A resolution requesting final legislation to enter into an agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation, ODOT, for the Safe Routes to School, SRTS, project.
In 2020 in March of 2020, we applied for funding through the Safe Routes to School program through ODOT, and we were awarded funding up to $150,000 for design and construction. So we went ahead and hired a consultant to do the design. We did use a portion of that for the design funds, but now we're ready to go into construction. So this would be final legislation that we would need to enter into with ODOT to allow them to bid the project. Right now, the sale date is scheduled for, the construction is scheduled for the summer of this year, 2022. The project itself will consist of signage improvements and pavement markings at Washington and Central, as well as installation of bike racks at the junior high and school zone. We're actually going to move the school zone on Looney Road. Right now, it doesn't start at the high school drive. It starts south of there. I don't know if any of you have noticed that the high school is not included in that. So the overhead sign will be moved further north to incorporate the high school driveway, as well as we're adding some flashing speed limit signs at Washington and Central to help bring attention to the school zone. And then we're also adding some sidewalk near the ped push button at Central at the northeast corner of Park and Nicolin, because there's some concrete missing there. So a lot of little projects spread out throughout the schools. Right now, ODOT's estimating the project construction will be around $160,000. The city's portion is estimated at this time to be about $37,346. But this resolution, I am asking for a 10% contingency, just because once bids come in, usually ODOT requires an answer whether we want to proceed within a couple days. So if they do come in higher, we'd have a little bit of contingency that we could authorize them without having to come back.
Can we put speed bumps on Looney Road to slow down the drag strip?
No. We kind of have those with the potholes.
I said we had potholes for a while that did it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we have our own.
Are there any questions from the commissioners? Any questions from the citizens? With no questions, I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve resolution number R-17-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is resolution number R-18-22.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Access Engineering Solutions, LLC, for the engineering design of the Lincoln Street Reconstruction Project. Amy Havener.
So last year, the engineering department submitted for funding for the Lincoln Street Reconstruction Project. We originally went for the reconstruction of Lincoln Street between Boone to North. And then after talking to the underground utilities, they informed me that the water line out there is anywhere from a 3/4 inch to a 2-inch main. Yes, I said that correctly, 3/4 inch to 2-inch main. So they'd asked if we could go ahead and expand the project limits to incorporate replacing of the water main. So we went ahead and submitted the application for the reconstruction of one block of Boone Street, but we also went for the replacement of the water line on Boone Street from Park to Boone, from Park all the way to Ash. So we were approved for that funding at 50% of the funding, up to $400,000. So our goal now is to begin the design. Access Engineering Solutions was selected based off of our request for qualifications. They'll start the design, and construction right now is scheduled for the summer of 2023. This was also included as part of the capital improvement plan, and I think the group moved it up actually once we found out the water main issues they're having out there, so it was requested to move that up in the schedule.
Any questions from the commissioners?
I was just gonna say thanks, that's good work, especially having a water main of that size.
Crazy.
So I appreciate the hard work there.
Yeah, neighbors are going to be thrilled. Yep.
I have some water pressure to do some laundry now? Is that what
I
that's
can't
gonna be?
imagine what it's been like.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow, 3/4 inch? All righty, with no questions from the commissioners, I'll entertain questions from the citizens. With no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution R-18-22.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is resolution number R-19-22.
A resolution awarding a contract to Kennison Excavating, Inc. for the Fountain Boulevard Canal Sanitary Replacement Project. Kevin Craney, Director of Utilities, will be presenting the next 3 staff reports.
Hello, Commissioners. This project is coming out of the Sewer Fund, 404 Fund. This project was designed in 2021 by Hull & Associates. This is a replacement of a 12-inch line that has had lots of issues up by the canal area there. About half this project, or about 1,000 feet, is going to be a boring under the canal coming out by the pavilion at Fountain Park, and then the rest would be open cut connecting on Forest. Most of this, 73% of this is grant funded with OPWC money. The engineer's estimate was around $480,000. The bids came in ranging from $323,000 to $500,000. Kennison Excavating, $323,000. We added a 20% contingency due to the increase in material costs over the last year and any supply chain, potential issues. We felt that was felt that was warranted with being so much under the engineer's estimate as a safeguard to keep the project rolling. You can see the details, 103,000 will come out of the sewer fund and approximately 285,000 will come from the OPWC grant. This is replacing a 12-inch line.
How long is this project going to take, Kevin?
Not too long, a couple months, maybe 2-3 months at the most. They have to actually get some trees cut down in March before the Indiana brown bats return. So the 4 trees in the park that are in the boring area and the open cut will be cut down by the end of this month. And I don't think, as long as, I would say at the latest June, they should have it done pretty quick. They're ready to go, so.
We putting those trees back?
They're huge, so we probably.
No, are we going to replant trees in their place, though?
I don't know for sure. Probably not, because where they're coming out is where there's going to be this new sewer, so you're not going to plant a tree right on top of the
Yeah.
sewer. It'll kind of be like a ongoing easement. So I don't believe they'll be placed in the exact same spot, no.
But we're going to replace them at some point in time.
I
I hate to lose trees, especially if they were, homes to the brown bat.
We'll have to look into the details of the project. I can't remember that being spec'd out. But trees could be placed if needed after the project,
Okay.
if it would fill the void.
One question, I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you. Did you say, because it came under so much, was that just the engineer's estimate?
Yeah, the
that came
engineer's
under?
estimate was awful high. There was a lot of uncertainty with the COVID and,
Gotcha.
prices were going all over. Their prices are going all over the place on construction jobs. Luckily, this one and the one we bid out last year for the stormwater, it seemed pretty fair from what we were getting the years before.
Okay.
So,
And
we
then
have-
you said it was near the pavilion?
The boring, so the boring starts up on the other side of the canal on the west side where there's a manhole that failed. We're gonna put in a new manhole. They're gonna bore underneath the canal, kind of down the hill, through the hill. And then so west of the pavilion there, that's where it'll come out. And then open cut going along the road more there.
Okay.
On
So-
that, the far south end of the park, so it's really gonna be hugging. Once the boring comes out, it'll be hugging the road pretty much there.
Okay, so no effect on the pavilion at all?
No.
Okay, I just know people are concerned that it's going to get torn down, so I don't want, if there's construction around there,
And
people
this
to
is
start
not the
making
big,
assumptions.
big pavilion. This is the small little,
Oh,
like,
okay, okay.
little,
Not Hans's Pavilion.
little shack with
Okay,
the concrete
gotcha.
floor, about 4 picnic tables there.
Okay,
Picnic pavilion.
understood. Because I just don't want the rumors to
Dance
spread
pavilion.
that people are thinking that it's being torn
No,
down,
this is
because
not
there's
the big
already
pavilion,
thoughts on
no.
that and
This is
with
the one
no
this
plans.
is all on the south end of the park.
Okay,
And
gotcha,
all the work is really within almost 100 feet of the road, so.
gotcha. All right, thank you. Appreciate the clarification.
Any other questions?
I'm just wondering, and it's an aesthetic thing, because I know, I'm with you about trees and everything, and I know that, I think our garden club planted daffodils up off the bike path over here by the MLK Bridge, and it looks really pretty. Was it the garden club that did that? I know that the McNeils were part of that, but it looks really nice. So if we can't do trees, could we possibly plant bulbs or something that would enhance that area? Because it's right by the road, correct?
Yeah, the southern end of the park. Yeah, we'd have to check with parks if that's a good area to
Yeah,
plant
to
bulbs.
put
I don't
something.
know if it's very sunny there with all the tree cover,
Right.
so I'm
And
not
it
sure
doesn't have
what.
to be, well, then bulbs are only there for a few months anyway, but something that could be ornamental, so it's not just grass, you know what I mean? So,
None of that is
Just a
spec'd out in the
suggestion.
project, but it's not saying that we can't do that after
Yeah.
the project on our own, out of our own operating funds.
yeah, within reason. I mean, we're not talking about expensive, but I just think that people would appreciate it, so.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Any questions from the citizens? With no questions, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on, resolution number R-20-22.
A resolution requesting authorization to enter into an agreement with Wesler Engineering, Inc. for professional engineering services as related to the underground utilities manhole inspection project.
This project is a stormwater project. The city approximately has about 1,500 stormwater manholes. This project will open them up and evaluate and camera about 600 of our oldest ones in the oldest part of town. So we're hoping to find the ones that are have the most issues, and we could develop projects going forward. This is not to exceed $70,000. If they get ahead and they're doing well, we have more manholes identified for them to evaluate to get up to the 70,000. When we're done with this project, we'll have the approximately 600 manholes will be completely cataloged, depth, material. There'll be pictures taken, and we plan on making importing a GIS layer with all of this information, and then in potential years going out and doing the rest of our manholes to get a complete scope of the stormwater manholes in a couple-year block.
So this will help things like that have happened on Lincoln we could be aware of that prior to
Yeah, this is for planning purposes. I mean, this
Yeah.
is to plan out the next 5 or 10 years, and you knock out your worst ones the first year or two. You make plans, you get a project together, then you keep going down the line
Yeah, great,
as needed.
great.
And the GIS director will be involved with.
She already has. She has been in direct contact with Wesler, giving them the specs and figuring out how we will import the data.
That's what I want to hear. I like it.
She has got to be busy as all get out.
All the stuff that should have been.
Yep, yeah, so she's been a great addition, and it definitely will help with our asset management, so there won't be, a lot of the questions you ask now will be already information that'll be readily available to the public.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions from the commissioners? Any questions from the citizens? With no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve resolution number R-20-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Next and final resolution for the night, R-21-22.
A resolution requesting authorization to amend the contract with Verdantes LLC, formerly Hull and Associates, Inc., for professional services to assist the city of Piqua with construction administration and field oversight. That's Kevin Craney.
Yes, this resolution ties back to the 19-22. Hull and Associates at the time, now they're Verdantis. They designed the Fountain Park project. They helped us go out to bid. They're going to continue with on-site inspection in the areas that we're not familiar, basically the boring machine, inspecting that work. We haven't done that in the past, and they're going to help us, wrap up the project. So this, we're in a contract with them. The contract was going to go over, $50,000, I believe, or actually over that, and needed to be extended to cover these services. This is an addition of up to $34,000 for their work to finish out the project.
Any questions from the commissioners? With no questions, I'll entertain questions from the citizens. With no questions, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution R-21-22.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next part of the commission meeting goes into public comment. This is an opportunity for the citizens to address the city commission, ask any questions, and if there are specific questions that cannot be addressed, we will send them over to the city manager's office.
Good evening, Mayor Folk.
Good evening.
Commissioners, department heads. Jeff Lang, 9586 North State Route 66. Warmer weather is around the corner, so I want to give everybody the date of July 16th for the 19th annual POW Clean Sweep of the Great Miami River. It's always the third Saturday in July. To sign up, you need to go to www.protectingourwaterways, no hyphen between water and ways.org. Protectingourwaterways.org. Last tab there will get you contact to my email, and drop me an email and I'll let you know what you're getting into. It's good, clean, dirty fun. As I said, we're going into our 19th year. A lot of times it's overlooked, but POW volunteers also clean up the Piqua Hydraulic Canal. the east end of Frantz Pond, Echo Lake, and we always clean Swift Run Lake since I live on it, and I do that about every 3 days. But we do a spring cleanup of the hydraulic canal and a fall cleanup of the hydraulic canal, and the trash in the last couple of years has only amounted to 20 or 25 pounds, which is a lot better than in 2004 when we used to get 250, 300 pounds of trash out of the hydraulic canal. Excuse me. On the river itself, in general, we're just shy of 200,000, but we'll probably pass that in pounds, being our 19th year, but it is coming down every year, and that's great. I also want to take this opportunity to thank Kevin for having a meeting with Randy Kirschner and myself this afternoon and talking about some other issues up on the Piqua Hydraulic Canal. I appreciate his time and his expertise. Paul, I want to thank you also for your help there. But I wanted to talk briefly tonight, and I'll make it quick because I know time is of the essence. The proposed removal of the Lowhead Dam at the Piqua Power Plant. I have been in contact with all the commissioners. I think I've asked some commissioners to pass emails on to other commissioners. I don't have their emails. But I just want to go over the number one issue for removing that Lowhead Dam in the Great Miami River is safety. It's a drowning machine. I don't think we actually have had a drowning at that dam, but I know we've had a drowning in the last 10 years up at Garnsey Street Bridge. And it was a young man that tried to walk across the river to join his buddies on the other side to go fishing. He got in over his head and he drowned. And had that low dam not been there, he would have been walking through 3 foot of water instead of 6.5, 7 foot of water. Also, I want everybody, if you don't know this already, go to, just type in Google, over, under, and gone, the silent killers in our rivers. And it will tell you about the mayhem caused by Lowhead dams. If you want to put it in perspective, someone brought up that there's a better chance of getting hit by lightning and dying from a hit of lightning than it is a Lowhead dam. And actually, I researched that little point, and that's not true. There's actually been more drownings at Lowhead dams than there has been lightning strikes in the United States. A second point about taking the Lowhead Dam out is it's got better water quality when you remove stagnant water that's impounded by a dam. It's better habitat for everything that's living in the river. It's better spawning and feeding for all the fish that are in the river. It allows for fish migration, which a lot of people don't think of. They only think of salmon jumping up and down rivers out west. We have a lot of fish that migrate up and down our river, and they can't migrate when they hit a dam. It's 100% funded by U.S. Fisheries and Wildlife and also other divisions of Ohio EPA. The people have also brought up concerns about the stinky dead fish and the shellfish and stuff like that. Believe it or not, people come out of the woodwork to put on their mud boots and their waders and rehome all the shellfish and all the fish that are caught in pools and put them back in the main channel of the river. The growth in paddle sports, fishing, and tubing has been tremendous, but to put it in perspective, every state in the union of these United States, as far as registration of boats, the highest percentage in every one of the 50 states is registration of paddle boats, stand-up boards, kayaks, canoes. That's the highest percent registration. 50 states. So that tells you something about how popular that business is. Also, thanks to Ed Krieger's support and finding in some of the numbers, the city of Piqua spent over $40,000 in 2016 on redoing the dam, which serves no purpose. So that's $40,000 cost in 2016. That is only going to go up. And one day, ODNR Dam Safety Division is probably going to come to the city of Piqua and have some additional costs for us because that Lowhead Dam is still there.
1 minute, Mr. Lang.
Yes.
You got 1 minute left.
Okay. Also, I want to bring up that if you go to West Milton Dam removal or go to the Stillwater River in West Milton, you will see exactly what it looks like to take a dam out. There's been 85 years of pooled up water at the dam. It's time to let some other people use it as a free-flowing river. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff, for what you do.
Any other public comments this evening? Neil, we'll move on to the commissioner city manager's report.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commission. I have two items tonight. First is regarding traffic cameras that have been put up around the city. I've reviewed a lot of the footage. It's on social media, and there are people rolling stop signs, near misses, things of that nature. I can tell you that no matter where you put a camera up, you're going to witness instances of people breaking the law and not following the traffic laws and the code. So, you know, it's easy to armchair quarterback that and put a camera up and say, look what people are doing. But generally, they misbehave all over town, and I witness it in my own neighborhood as well. So that being said, one of the items that we had talked about addressing was the two areas where the flower planters are with the delineators is being a temporary solution. We had that discussion last year, and we've been working with a consultant to get something designed that would facilitate pedestrian movement and still allow a better interface between the pedestrian and vehicular traffic. And so we've gotten those plans back. We haven't had a chance to review them internally as a team, but I can tell you that we're planning on making those improvements, and this temporary situation is going to be in play for several more months. So as people become concerned about it, there is an end game, which is a capital improvement to fix that. One other item that we are going to address is we talked to the city engineer about putting up island marker signs that delineate the islands a little bit better beyond the current delineators that are up there, but it's actual signage that will go up. They've been on order. And lastly, with Main Street, the power department or power distribution put up our new traffic signs and no through truck signs to better mark the routes for 36 for both 36 and 25A in terms of the truck routing. So that should help. We'll keep definitely our eye on that with enforcement. The police chief was also glad to see those go up because it aids him in his enforcement activities. Last, I just wanted to talk about the month of February. It's 28 days, but we had 4 snow events, and I wanted to report out on how expensive Mother Nature is. We had an event on the 12th. The total cost of that was a light ice event, was $487. We had an event again on the 13th. That was $3,637. On February 17th and 18th, that event cost us $7,168. And then on February 24th, we had an event that cost us $5,444. So all in, that's $16,738 of snow and ice for 4 small events that really were inconsequential. When you break that down, that's 132 tons of salt that wind up in the Great Miami River and cost us $7,698 to buy that salt at $58 a ton. So unfortunately, you know, we live in Ohio and we have to deal with these events. I've worked in other communities in Northeast Ohio where we have about twice as much snow and use 2 or 3 times as much salt. But I think for the outcome and for the effort that we expend with the Public Works Department, they did a great job. And I just want to thank them for doing that. That's the end of my report, sir.
Absolutely. Just to echo off what the city manager said on that, I get the opportunity to drive through multiple communities on my way to work now, and I can say by far the city of Piqua rocks compared to all the other communities that I drive through. I cannot say enough about our public works getting out there and making sure that our streets are safe. Sometimes we react, but sometimes, you know, we're a lot more proactive than reactive. So my hat is off to those ladies and gentlemen that make the wheels go around for the city and the Public Works Department. Moving on.
Well, I have a few questions for the city manager.
Yep.
The ARPA money update for the citizens, will that be posted somewhere?
Yeah, it'll be before you. We're completing the final program for the downtown district, Main Street, in terms of what those resources are going to look like. And once that's finalized, we'll bring it in front of you for approval.
And do you have any information on an opening for the golf course?
So yeah, traditionally the golf course is opened up on March 1st, which would have been today. They're out there actually doing improvements. They took down the wallpaper. They had some painting done, some general cleaning, and making some minor improvements to the clubhouse. So As soon as that wraps up and the weather breaks, it'll be opened up, but we don't have a specific date yet. I know there was some contention with the seasonal golfers that they wanted to get out there and
Yep.
that we're cutting into
That
their
I'm hearing from.
season. Yeah, and the same holds true at the end of the year, but I think doing the economic analysis with our partner Hampton and understanding what it costs us to run the course and how much we make, it factors into when you open. So we will be evaluating that.
Okay. I guess the last question I have is, for the citizens, when's the next economic development update that Chris can give?
So he'll be more than likely providing one in April. We like to do those quarterly.
Yep.
And we have a lot to discuss, so a lot of great news. So we'll be looking forward to that in April.
That's all I've got for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, on the commissioner comments, we'll start with Commissioner Lee.
I want to thank Michael Allen for his long years of service, and that's it.
Commissioner Pearson.
I too would like to congratulate Michael Allen, 30 years of dedication to the city of Piqua. That's amazing. I also wanted to mention the Kiwanis Pancake Day is coming up out at the Career Center. Actually, it's Saturday, March 12th from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you'd like to volunteer, they could use your help. And the state of the city is going to be March 24th at the Plaza from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. That's all I had.
Thank you both. Commissioner Grissom.
I'm just going to echo, thank you for all the service, excuse me, from Mr. Allen. Appreciate 30 years dedicated service is something to be proud of. The only thing I have was a question with the low dam and Jeff Lang presenting. Do you know, they mentioned us looking into voting on that earlier on, or at least what our intentions are, I think by like springtime. Do you know when that's going to be coming before us?
Yeah, it's the meeting that we had this week was postponed till the end of the week, and so when we get back with U.S. Fish and Wildlife and firm up the schedule, we're hoping to bring something to you within the next month.
Okay, thanks. That's all I have.
Commissioner Hines.
I just have a couple of things. I also want to thank Michael Allen for his many years of service here to our city. We have great employees here in our city. We're lucky to have them, and somebody who's going to hang around for 30 years. We really, really appreciate that. He's seen a lot of change, I'm sure, over the 30 years that he was here. I also wanted to remind you about the Kiwanis Pancake Breakfast. Many of us up here will be flipping pancakes on Saturday, so we invite
Early.
you to come out.
Come
And we'll come anytime because you'll probably see one of us. So flipping pancakes, but it's a great cause for our community. The Kiwanis Club does so many wonderful things for our kids, and I know they're very active in our schools. So come out and see your neighbor and have some good pancakes. The other thing I wanted to mention, the Piqua Community Foundation this Thursday evening is having an amazing event at the Piqua Fort Piqua Plaza. It's called Pitch Piqua, and they have, over the last year, they've had different organizations pitching them ideas, and they have 3 organizations that the citizens will be voting on with our money to, and the winner, it's $10 a vote. So if you put $50 in, it's only going to be 1 vote, I heard. So if you want to vote, and you can only vote 1 time. So I think it's what I understood. So, but the winner is going to get $50,000. So Piqua Compassion Network, Child Care Choices, and the school system are the 3 finalists. So it should be a fun evening. You can look online at the Piqua Community Foundation for more information, but really exciting to see ways that our city comes together. We're creative about the ways that we do that, and it will be, you know, in light of where we've been over the past year and a half, it'll be fun to be together and just, you know, see one another in the community and support a really good cause. So, and the final thing I will say, many of you know my son is a senior this year in high school, and he's a member of the Piqua Show Choir, and we had one of the most successful years we have had in a very, very long time. They finished the season with 3 grand champions and 2 first runner-up, and the 2 schools that we were first runner-up with are some of the best show choirs in not only our state, but the country as well. So we are extremely proud of those students. We have beat schools this year that we have not beaten ever, and some that we have not beaten in a long time. So it's kind of exciting. So high school spring sports are starting as the weather gets warmer. So if you want something to do, get out and watch a baseball game or a track meet or softball. There's a variety of things to do. So that's all I have.
Great. Thank you all for your comments. I just got one or two things to talk about tonight. Energy board wise, we have 2 openings, 5-year term. Vacancy as of March 1st today. So if you're interested in joining our energy board, please get your application submitted to the city so we can review those and get you hopefully voted on. Just be advised that the energy board, it takes place from noon to 1 throughout the day. So if your schedule can be flexible enough to attend those meetings, we would greatly appreciate that. We do have 1 opening as well on the civil service board. That's a 3-year term, and that is vacant as of today as well, so we will entertain applications for that. And secondly, I just want to talk about projects that we have upcoming in the city. Weather's starting to break. It seems like spring is right around the corner. We've talked about funding that was provided to the city through the county for demolitions of certain properties within the city. One thing that I want the citizens to understand, stuff that we've seen in the past, is that they say the city just goes in and takes over these properties and we're going to demolish them just because. I'm sitting up here today telling you that is not the case. I've been doing a lot of talking with the city manager, and the city has done their due diligence on all these properties. We're talking years and years of work that our economic development, engineers, all the departments that put time into these things. And finally, we've come to a closing point where we need to move forward with these properties and demolish them, get the blight out of our town. So, don't go at the city saying, well, you guys are just doing this to do this, because that is not the case. They've done their due diligence over the years, like I said, and I cannot echo it enough. Support your city and what they are doing. They're trying to move the city forward, and this is the way that it has to be done, unfortunately. And with that being said, as the workers are out there, be cognizant of them. If they're out in the streets working, slow down, give them the space that they need to work, so on and so forth. And that'll wrap up my comments for tonight, and I will take a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion, we adjourn?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We're adjourned.